right, welcome to another episode of the 28 to 3 podcast. Today we're going to do, I guess we'll call it a Saints news dump, catch up, whatever you want to call it, where we just kind of recap all the things that have happened since our last episode and just overanalyze these quotes from DA today.
Yeah.
Maybe get a little too excited about some of the things he said, or I don't know.
We went a little while there without an episode, and some things happened, but obviously it's a pretty slow period. The things that happened in particular, the rookies came in for minicamp. You've got some sound bites out of guys like Kubiak, DA, Loomis to an extent. We're recording this today. The Saints had their Hall of Fame golf tournament, trying to raise some money for the Saints Hall of Fame, and they interviewed Cesar Ruiz, Cam Jordan, DA, Mickey. I think they had some interesting things to say. Nothing you can put all your stock in, but again, 'tis the season of speculation for us to figure out what things mean and maybe hope we think things mean what we think they mean.
Well, you know what? I'm glad you said the word stock. So let's talk about Saints rookie minicamp first. And then maybe which players, I guess it can be out of our draft class, it can be the undrafted free agents. Who, as of this moment right now, would you buy stock in to maybe surprise in training camp and make the team?
Okay, well...
Oh, you want someone that's not projected to make the team?
Actually, let me rephrase that. Because all the draft picks are going to make the team, I think, this year. We're not that juggernaut that we were a couple years ago where, you could draft 3 players and 2 of them might not make the team.
If you're someone who's going to say, I think it's worth buying stock in a UDFA, then you're basically saying you think he's going to make the team.
No. But let's say, who would you buy stock in? Like, who do you think is going to perform this year?
If it's a this year thing, I'm going to stock up on Bub Means. I'm buying in on that. The reports out of the guys that know what they're talking about with, what is this Kubiak offense going to do, practically speaking, from a day-to-day, play-by-play standpoint, is that it's going to simplify things, and especially for the quarterback, where and also for the other guys. I forget who was talking about it, but the call-in, the play calls in the huddle are actually they're less verbose. It's not like the things we used to laugh about with the Sean Payton play calls where it sounds like you just read a children's novel before calling the play. It's just like a lot shorter. Yeah, it puts more onus on the skill guys to know what play is being called, but it works better for Carr where he knows exactly where he's going to be going or could go with the ball. So I think that'll help guys who are further down the progression. So like guys like a Bub Means. And he just looks talented. I think he looks talented like a good get. So out of the rookies, I like him. If it was beyond next year, of course you got to buy some stock in Spencer Rattler.
Boy, how you have changed your tune.
I did. I'm really liking...
You were not a fan when we first talked about it.
Yeah, I'll admit.
He was having a bad day.
Well, I was having a good day, but one of those, my focus was elsewhere. It was on a couple of 5-year-olds running around the Zurich Classic and making sure they didn't go steal somebody's ball out of a bunker or something. But, and then my only, context of Spencer Rattler before that was a guy who I knew he was talented as hell, but didn't like him when he was at Oklahoma as a person. I don't think a lot of people did. And then his next stop is South Carolina, who's one of the in-conference rivals of my Georgia Bulldogs. And so when we put a hurting to him in that game. So I didn't really watch much Spencer Rattler outside of that. So once he becomes a Saint and I start looking at him through the lens of he's our guy now, I like what I'm seeing,
Let me ask you this. Any undrafted guys jumping out? Anyone you see surprising and making the team?
I'm hearing a lot of good things about Jermaine Johnson because of his speed and ability to
Jermaine Jackson?
Is it Jackson?
Yeah.
Yeah. Get into the return game. But then again, you got a guy in Kool-Aid who could factor in there. So I don't know. But I feel like Holker is almost too obvious of a choice.
And looking
because of our weakness at the position to begin with and his apparent talent, he could make the team very realistically, and if put in the right positions, he could do some damage.
Yeah, I'll say this. You can always Underhill does a really good job of doing this every year, breaking down the guaranteed money for the undrafted free agents, and that's a good way to see who they think highly of going into minicamp and then training camp. So this year, Dallin Holker guaranteed $235,000. The next closest, Jermaine Jackson, $160,000.
Right.
After that, it goes down to $60K, and everybody is below $45,000.
Who was third?
That. So third was free safety Millard Bradford out of TCU, I believe.
If he's from TCU, I don't know. I mean, Kendre, I like Kendre, but other than that.
Yeah, well, that's kind of funny. They're not a rival of Georgia, are they?
Not directly.
Yeah.
Not of Georgia. Maybe one of its alums, but.
No, so going off of the guaranteed money, I think Holker looks like the leader in the clubhouse to, make some noise and make the team as an undrafted free agent. For me, I think Fuaga, that's the easy pick. Mm-hmm. I do like Bub Means. He's a bigger guy. He's got some speed. He's big and physical. Kool-Aid, I think Kool-Aid is going to step in and just.
Where's he going to play if he's stepping in right now? If you mean this year.
I don't think they fuck with him. I mean, they're going to, as they say, cross-train, but that dude's a lockdown outside corner.
Yeah, he's an outside corner. And I can see him jumping ahead of Alante on the depth chart. And someone's going to get hurt, man.
I mean, is that what? That's what I'm asking. You're not sitting, if they're healthy, Lattimore or Debo, right? So do we mix them in elsewhere? Do you think they're going to do that? Or, how does it look? Because neither of those two is moving inside either.
I think he's going to get on the field, though. Whether they're running more DBs, and less linebackers like we originally thought. We thought we were going to see 3 linebackers a lot more than we have in the past, when we signed Willie Gay. I think with this draft pick, you're going to see same setup as it's been prior years. The strong point of this defense is your corners and your secondary.
Yeah, I think DA's, this is when we could talk to DA, the defensive coordinator, not DA, the head coach. But DA as a defensive coordinator has proven, A, to be a good one, and B, that he's good because we can't sit here and say that what the base defense is necessarily going to be, whether it's a 2 linebacker, whether it's nickel or 4-3. We also can't say what we're going to see the most of because he's a good matchup coach where it could easily change game by game. Each team requires a different personnel set, different frequency of the use of each personnel set. So I think that with translating that to Kool-Aid, I agree he's going to be on the field.
How does it look, though? That's my question.
I
know we're guessing. I'm just curious, how do y'all see that? I think
how it looks goes the way of the health of Lattimore, assuming what we heard today.
Yeah, if they get hurt, that's an easy answer. But if we're going to get them all out there, how do you think we should line that up with all of them?
I think you're going to see Kool-Aid in the slot. I think he jumps ahead of Alante. And then hopefully we get to see Alante in some free safety looks, just get them all on the field in some form or fashion.
I don't know. Someone put it out there. We've mentioned how good he could be at that free safety spot. And then it even went to the Twitters where someone said Alante at free safety, and he replied on Twitter famously like, nah. And it's
but that's not how it works.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Like, you can
also maybe the Winfield's contract will change his mind. Because that dude could get paid.
Because it's like look, listen, Alante,
he got benched last year.
Exactly. It's
twice.
Like you're not the guy.
Not that great.
Yeah, if you're not the guy who gets to say no to that. If the coaches say like, we don't think you're good enough to play outside, or Kool-Aid's better than you at that position.
I mean, he gave up the most yards out of the slot last year, did he not? He was up there late in the season. I don't know if he finished, but
he also when we were looking at the Football Reference, I think he had the most missed tackles as recorded, out of anybody on starters anyway. And,
I just see a playmaker more than I see a slot corner, or maybe he'd be great outside. I don't know. I know that's where he played in college. That was his spot, much like everyone we've drafted. But he seems to make plays.
Yeah.
Behind line of scrimmage, closing out routes and making that play at the at high point in the ball. Tall, athletic. I would just love to see him in space.
And what I was getting at with DA is that it at least seems, especially in the defensive backfield, that when he's in defensive coordinator mode, he he's good at putting guys in the position where they can excel, or at least putting like the best guys possible out on the field for whatever kind of scheme he's trying to run for that play, based on what the other team's doing. So if Kool-Aid is better in the slot than Alante, I think he's going to be there. I don't think it's going to be like the days, where Sean Payton just seemed to pick his,
I'll be honest with
teachers' pets, and would you be like,
can't
why?
Be worse, right? So
right, and even so if he's better, he's going to play. But I think if everybody else is, if Lattimore or Debo are healthy, and if they're rotating Alante in and on the outside because he's playing well enough, then they're going to put Kool-Aid in the slot at times because they want to put the best guys on the field that they can.
Yeah, My only thing is, in my opinion, there's no way, if healthy, those two guys are giving up snaps at those positions. So, however we mix him in is great, but I don't see a huge contribution unless he takes Alante's spot. Not that I don't like the pick. I just mean where's he go? And
well, there's a world where he could get more snaps than Debo by the midpoint of the season. Because Debo, let's be honest, he was great last year. He was fantastic.
And his rookie year was great. The year he was hurt, he was not
He was good his rookie year. He wasn't great year 2. He was really good last year.
He was banged up year 2 though too.
Yeah,
his numbers last year were off the charts.
But you got to. I mean, look, Kool-Aid was supposed to be. He was projected as a top 10 pick going into the season. Even midway through the season, he was still projected as a top 15 guy.
Yeah.
Like he did nothing to change these that perception of him. So they just found that Jones fracture and all that, but by all accounts he's supposed to be good to go by training camp. So,
yeah. And there's
I think somebody so look, we've got all the talk about Lattimore getting traded. Now they're saying the positive stuff. DA today came out and said, "Hey, we've had a good dialogue the last couple of weeks." So everyone thinks it's sunshine and roses.
He said, we're moving forward. He's still...
You've got a Debo due for a new contract after this season.
Yeah.
Alante Taylor going into the final year of his contract after this season. So there is going to be some decisions to be made. Yeah. I think there's a world where 2 of these 4 are not on the team going into 2025.
I'm a little bit different headspace than you on a Debo. The likelihood of a Debo being here
is higher.
Is high.
Yeah.
Because he's only 24.
He's the one
he's played great for the majority of his career. He did get banged up, and he wasn't himself in second year for sure. But
I think they need another year of what he did last year.
Yeah. And we get to see that. But I think it's highly likely we're looking to sign him and move Lattimore at the end of the season at 29 years old and keep the 25-year-old. Now, obviously, what the request on the money is going to make a big difference there as well. I think Lattimore is a world-class player. I do not think Debo is that yet. So I don't know if that's the right move, but I think it's highly likely with this rebuild situation they're going that they're going to tie to the 25-year-old as the anchor corner and roll with McKinstry and see what they do with Alante after one more year and go from there.
No, I agree with what you said. I think Debo is the one who is in line to get a big payday and stick around. I do think Lattimore, whether it's training camp, whether it's during the season, or whether it's right after the season, I think Lattimore is going to be off the team. I think it's a formality at this point because he's going to be 29 years old for the 2025 season with a high cap number. This team is rebuilding. Sooner or later, they'll get an offer that's going to be something that they deem, I guess, good enough to take. Alante, I don't...
Right now, Alante's not getting paid elsewhere.
Agree. So to me, I think it's Lattimore and Alante who are going to be the 2 odd men out, whether it's 2025. I think for 2025, I think you could see both of them get traded. To me, Kool-Aid obviously is under team control for 4 seasons. Debo at 24 years old, he'll be 25 for the season, but still prime age. If he has a season like last year, sign his ass, give him the money.
Yeah, that's a 5-year contract. He's finishing at the end of his 20s. That's when you sign these guys.
Exactly. Yeah. But to me, Alante and Lattimore, I don't think either of them are on the team in 2025.
It's highly likely. And the last thing with Kool-Aid, he's just one of those players where you're best if you go into his rookie season with no expectations, because he could literally just be a dude who shows up in the dime, and that's the only time you see him on defense, or he fills in for an injured starter, or he could even, it's not out of the realm, that he's good enough to play better than Adebo. Now that's your long shot scenario, but he's that good.
The talent is there.
People are saying he's that good. And then if you're the skeptic fan who says, well, we know that teams try to maybe use snap counts and usage as a way to bake in or devalue a guy so they don't have to pay him as much. So if they know they need to pay Adebo at the market rate of a starting cornerback or a franchise corner, well, I don't know. Maybe they try Kool-Aid on the outside for a few snaps and then try Adebo in the slot. And if they get the snap count to shake out the right way when it comes time to negotiate, I know it's a long shot, but
I don't see that.
But it's something that other teams are not past doing.
Yeah, but you're not doing that.
But Adebo's obviously, and I don't think it happens, but it's the skeptics would say that's a possibility.
Yeah, I don't. The skeptics are idiots if they're thinking that.
Well, we know what you think about it. Yeah,
I'll say this though: the one thing I don't trust DA to be a head coach. The one thing I do trust him to do is to run a defense and to get the most out of the talent that is in the defensive back room. So to me, it's look at the last 5 years, 6 years of defensive back picks. Everyone has panned out.
Yeah.
Whether they're on the team still or not, everyone has been a good, solid player. Jordan Howden, we all said it last year, in training camp. Don't be surprised when this dude's starting by the end of the year and making an impact.
Yeah,
if I'm Alante and I want to stay here, why are you not offering to take? How old's Matthew this year? 34?
31, 32, yeah.
Yeah,
32?
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be the hole in the secondary. That's
Yeah.
going to be open. And with safeties getting paid again, there was the big free agent move this year where all of them got let go. But then you started to see people actually get money.
Yeah.
I don't know. He could be a much higher paid free safety than a corner.
From a bigger picture perspective, like I don't know that I necessarily like a player not having a team first attitude. It's like if the team thinks you could help the team a lot more in a different position, go play the other position. Yeah. Help the team.
I agree with you there. Yeah. And my other point is, though, I was going to say injuries always happen in the secondary. Always.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter how stacked on paper you look going into the season. There is going to be a point where someone like Isaac Yiadom is coming in playing snaps. Mm-hmm. Last year he was solid. But the year before, he came in and was playing snaps off the street.
Last offseason, we did not think we would ever be saying the words this offseason, damn, it sucks we lost Isaac Yiadom.
Yeah. So, look, to me, it's
he's going to do well in that system,
too.
It's a formality that one of these guys is getting hurt. And I think that there is some way, somehow, Kool-Aid is going to be playing meaningful snaps for the majority of the season.
And again, it goes back to what we talked about with the schedule.
Once he comes in, he ain't coming out.
And it goes back to what we talked about with the schedule episode. You're playing tough quarterbacks this year. So in the NFL, when you're down a cornerback, how often have we seen it where, like, even if it's not a long-term injury, cornerback number 1 or cornerback number 2 goes down, and the rest of the game, that QB is firing away at the rookie cornerback who just came in. So that's a very likely possibility. So even if it's for a quarter of a game or a half, that having someone to come in and fill in matters. And so that's what we're going to have.
Your third cornerback is basically a starter.
Yeah.
And I think that Kool-Aid is going to jump Alante in the pecking order at some point.
At least at outside, for sure, I think. So anyway, other news that came out, I mean, one thing I liked hearing again, we can only go by the words of people who are allowed to be at these minicamp practices even for a little bit. And they said it's just kind of like the way the new offensive staff was operating out there on the field, that it was just a lot more energy, a lot more hands-on. They said the QB coach was standing at the head of the route tree, just saying, like telling his QBs, I'm going to call it a number and I want you to throw it to a spot type of stuff. Like they said Janako was just, verbal and not verbally abusive, but, just like yelling and all over the place in a good way. Kubiak's just kind of no nonsense type of guy. Even in his interviews, he's a man of few words, which I like. I mean, he seems like he's confident up there as opposed to, God bless Pete, but him and a microphone did not get along. And but Kubiak saying things like, "Hey, we want to run against 8-man fronts. We want to run the ball first." That coupled with just the different process, the players. Cesar Ruiz today said there's a lot of attention to detail. He didn't say that wasn't there with Pete, but he made it pretty clear that it was right away getting to know the detail of everything versus last year, and
Yeah, the new wide receivers coach to me is the most exciting addition other than Kubiak.
Yeah, they were saying he was another vocal guy out on the field.
Yeah,
big time.
and he used to be a private wide receivers coach. And if you look at some of the guys that he has tutored or trained or whatever you want to use, he's got some guys that are some good players that he's been directly responsible for coaching.
Yeah.
So
I think that was Trevor Penning going by in an ambulance just now. Probably picked up on the mics.
yes.
No, but I liked what I heard about, just that things were just visibly, audibly different watching the new offensive staff go through a practice.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, this is almost 18, 19 years.
They've seen the same thing. I think that even to the level of like position groups weren't in the spots on the field they were used to them being in, just so much was different. And so that's obviously refreshing.
Look, change is good in this case because there are people who were toddlers who are now in their 20s when this Sean Payton offense was installed, and it has not changed in 16, 17 years. So this is the first season where we're going to see something different.
It's pretty wild. This isn't a long story, but my neighbors threw a crawfish bowl the other day for their kid who turned 21, invited us over. I was talking to some of his friends that only know the Saints to be good, and I'm like, so your only memory is just they're a good team. Like, I mean, yeah, I can't even imagine them being bad. I'm like, God, this is just, it's wild. I was like, it's wild to even be having this conversation with you.
You're like, sit down. Let me crack a beer. We're gonna have a little story time.
I hope you brought a case of beer.
Not just bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Gosh. But, so it's that part of the year where
sunshine and rainbows,
and at least we can say there's something different happening, as opposed to having to recite the definition of insanity like that some people do on Twitter to make themselves feel smart. It's like, if you just don't know that cold, then, But.
Well, let me ask you this. So last year, not quite this time, I guess it was in June for the OTAs, you told me and Nick about how Derek Carr was going 8 for 8.
Yeah,
I was getting ready to say that, but y'all kept going.
I'm glad you brought that up, Spencer. I'm glad you brought that up. Spencer Rattler
went. That's what I wanted to get
11
from you.
11 for 12.
Is that the official numbers?
Yeah, 11 for 12. At least in the first day of practice, I believe. Yeah.
Well, so I know you were very impressed with Carr's 8 for 8 last year. So how does Spencer's 11 and 12 is what you said? How does that stack up to the 8 for 8 that Carr put up on?
Come on, Max. They're throwing against theirs. Doesn't mean anything. That's what I said last year, right?
We brought you back.
You were telling us about the.
We brought you back to reality.
You were telling us about the command of the offense that he had and the way
his biceps.
I did not talk about his biceps. Maybe that's something you thought about on your own time, Nick, which I don't want to get into on this podcast. But
you're our social media wave summarizer.
Yeah,
that's Corey. Just like, okay, I've been doing a big dive on all this. This is everything that's happened at minicamp.
Yeah, and we can summarize it by Derek Carr's jacked.
And did not have an incompletion.
Yeah.
We're going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, if only that mattered in hindsight.
Well, the good news is
it's not that I like the 11 and 12. It's not the passing percentage against the air. Hey, no pass defense. That was great. That's a funny joke there because there's no DBs, right?
Yeah, it didn't quite land.
They don't land with you. I'm telling you.
It didn't land with Nick.
We do this in front of a live audience. It's just going to be chuckles, all chuckles. Hit the chuckle button. But no, the command, I think it was legitimate last year talking about how you've got a guy like Carr having a command of the offense in and out of the huddle, et cetera.
I mean, obviously it translated to the regular season for you.
He had a good last few games, but no, you're right. It did not. But the things about Rattler you like are just his arm strength, and you can just see the physical traits. So, we weren't there, but you hear about the physical traits, and just the throws look effortless. Their zip on the ball. He's got a good understanding of the fundamentals from what they were saying. Dropbacks look good and clean, all that good stuff. That's all you can really take from it, But so we'll see.
All the Saints fans were pretty hyped about Haener last year too. Need to see more Haener. We talked about that for half an hour one time.
And even here,
so is he just gone now? Are we just
no?
But some of the national guys out there still say that, like, hey, even though we didn't hear about him, we liked Haener a lot coming out of college. Adam and Ryan had Greg Cosell on, and he's a guy that looks at a lot of film of a lot of guys. And
I like Greg Cosell. He's legit.
And he said, Adam was asking about Rattler and stuff like that, and Cosell's like, yeah, I mean, like, he's got the potential to be a starter in this league one day. Just depends on the circumstances. But he's like, but Cosell made a point to say, and look, I really liked Tanner's tape last year. So that's somebody that y'all still have. And she's like, so what that means for the both of them, who knows? But he's still there. He's still apparently good. So we'll see.
Yeah, look, it's a good thing to have two younger guys in the pipeline.
I agree. It's awesome.
Keep taking shots until you get the next guy.
Yeah.
Look, we know Carr's not the next guy, but Carr is going to be here for this year and probably next year. So go ahead and keep developing people behind him, and maybe one of these guys can push him out in a year. So
I think, and people have said this about Rattler. And a point to which I agree. He does seem to be the most talented, the best QB we've drafted in terms of a talent perspective over the past,
talent-wise,
yeah,
he's in the top 5 Saints most talented quarterbacks ever. Talented.
Yeah, so when you think about QBs we've drafted,
arm talent.
It's
like clear about that.
Arm talent.
Grayson Allen and not Grayson Allen, Garrett Grayson. Grayson Allen's the basketball player.
There's not a whole lot of competition there.
No,
but
Ian Book, good Lord,
his arm talent is off the charts.
Yeah, but don't you think that's part of the hype of why? Because he was a projected number 1 pick overall. He was the number 1 QB,
of course,
pocket QB.
Yeah,
coming
absolutely,
out.
absolutely.
So everyone gets amped on,
and he's the first QB drafted after pick number 12, 11, wherever the Broncos picked.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, when you have that many go that fast, there's going to be a little break.
I'll say this: I've loved everything Rattler has had to say so far in interviews and all that. He comes across very well spoken. I will say though, the Saints did a little, game show kind of thing where they were asking him questions to pick between, So he said, they said,
I think I missed
Jordan or LeBron.
Oh,
and he said LeBron, and he fucking lost me there. So that's the one chink in the armor.
He's got to get past that. Yeah, he's going to have to get past that.
Yeah.
He wasn't born when Jordan was playing.
He's a year older than the Ant-Man, and I know the Ant-Man knows that Jordan's the guy.
He does. That's why Ant-Man's the man.
But
yeah.
That and I'm joking around. Everything that Rattler has said so far has been very
well, you
impressive.
say you're joking, but I know that's still sticking with you.
Because Jordan is the true GOAT.
Well, no, I know, but I know it's going to be hard for you to shake that.
It is going to be hard.
You can say you're joking because it sounds like a joke, but I know it's going to be hard for you to shake it. It's okay. But look, we got our things. It's fine.
Kids today, man. I hope you can raise your girls to understand that Jordan, not LeBron.
Yeah, I've already told them.
I know Nick's kids probably already know this.
They already know who Drew Brees was, even though they have literally never seen him actually play, but they know who he is. So, as an example, anyway.
What else did we miss? Anything else in the last couple weeks, news-wise?
I believe this was since our last episode that, Andrus Peat has decided to move on to a different team.
Oh, yeah, Jesus.
Despite, and then the news that came out today was Mickey saying that they attempted to re-sign him. Whether
and that's
what does that really mean? You attempted.
It's a cop out.
How many times did you offer him the vet minimum? Several different times.
Right. Well, we want to know what the contract is with the Raiders, and we haven't been able to find that yet. So I don't know. Then there's also, of course, the narrative floating around that he didn't want to be on the sinking ship that is, VA.
Sigler put out an article that was
30-year-old who lost his job to start the season doesn't get to dictate that. He's going to play for the Raiders.
Well, he literally.
I'm not saying I agree with that.
Well, Mickey, at least the one thing he said that
Mickey
was
did
true
say they tried.
was that the one true thing he said is, he decided he wanted to go somewhere else, and that's what free agency is for. He quite literally got to decide that. He doesn't get to decide if it's better for him. He doesn't get to decide if he gets paid more by the Saints versus the Raiders, but he quite literally, as a free agent, unrestricted, gets to decide, I'm either going to play for this team that's offering me. If you got multiple offers, you get to decide which team you're playing for.
Of course.
So
I'm just telling you the offers. My guess was a terrible offer. That's my guess.
That's my guess. I agree with that.
I would.
I'm just going on common sense here. If he would offer, I don't think they needed to offer a lot. I'm thinking that Raiders contract comes in and something around $5-6 million. What do you think?
I'm gonna guess 3 to 4.
If it's 3 to 4,
that just means you don't want to be here.
Well, it means we offered him the minimum, which is what I think we did.
Yeah.
Just to say we gave it a shot. And look, I don't have a problem with them moving on for him. I have a problem with them. It seems that they didn't address it. So when you lose 3 starters Like, why did we just sit if that wasn't part of the plan? That's my problem with him.
Well,
not that Pete's gone. That's not my problem. I'm fine with it.
Lucas Patrick,
Yeah, because
who they signed since the last episode,
on Lucas Patrick, and
he started. So.
he comes off the bat as, okay, here's like a second string type guy, but he started 15 games. Yeah, it was for the Bears.
He started games the last 3 seasons,
15
right?
games last year, 13 games for the Packers.
I saw Mike Detillier, local draft analyst, tweeted, "There's your starting
guard, left guard," and I think his
we want Saldivari. You really want Saldivari to step up and win that.
Yeah, him and
we're still in the same tackle boat though.
Yeah, and I think they put Lucas Patrick as kind of Underhill. I think characterized it this way, where like he's at your floor, he's like your James Hurst. Where can he play without totally?
That's a rickety floor going off of last year.
Right, it's not a great floor. It's not like solid.
Oli
might be
Udo,
missing a couple of joists, but
Udo to me is more like the Andrus Peat level.
He might be your if the we'll get to this, but yeah, he could be starting at a tackle position, which leads me to the next point. How much, speaking of stock, how much stock do you put in this reports that Fuaga got, fact that he was taking reps at left tackle at rookie minicamp?
Look, initially, I know everybody was up in arms about it. And initially, I'm like, what the fuck are we doing?
Why would you not try him there in minicamp, though?
Exactly. Yeah. Why not try it out? Because, hey, maybe he takes to it like a fish in water, and he's fucking great.
Yeah. Let's see his technique. Let's see how it looks.
I think, the answer to it is one that we as fans are never going to have. Like, that's a coaching decision. Whether you think that this particular player, given his skill set, is going to benefit. Like, because some people said, well, yeah, it's rookie minicamp, but you're telling me the first plays that he's ever running as a Saint are from an unnatural position. So, like, that's the start of his time in the pros. That's his first glimpse into the Saints' new playbook is from the other side of the ball, not from his natural side. And it's like, yeah, sure, if you're thinking about it linearly or a timeline, but
also,
we don't know.
If you don't think that dude's taking snaps in practice at left tackle in his life, you're crazy.
Yeah,
and they're just going to see what he's got.
And also,
there.
they don't have pads on. Like, he's not lining up at the left tackle spot.
It's totally
with
technique.
Granderson charging down at him.
It's like, I'm fine with it. I don't have an issue with it. I know Twitter was, as Saints Twitter loves to do, was up in arms about it, and we got to find any reason to rag on DA. DA's, look, it's we know he's not a good head coach.
Yeah.
But I don't have an issue with them trying Fuaga out at left tackle in a rookie minicamp, which is 2 weeks after the draft.
I forget who said it, if it was Underhill or Triplett. It's like, you have a guy who's that talented. You drafted him where you did. He's obviously this good. Wouldn't you want to go through his life as a Saint, at least knowing what you have at that other side versus just, fine, you start him at right tackle, and let's just say he's just, guns blazing and just comes out great, or just does well for a rookie. If you haven't even tried him on the other side, you don't know.
And if you look at the other top tackles from this draft, there's a lot of them that are switching sides going into their rookie season. So you got the Cowboys when they picked Guyton, they moved him from right tackle to left tackle. The Steelers with Fautanu, they moved him to, I think he's playing
left.
Yeah,
there's
a couple of the guys that are moving around. So
yeah, and we've bemoaned it with the Saints.
It's not that uncommon.
Right.
It's really not.
We've bemoaned it with the Saints because of the bad examples that we've had. Mainly with Pete. Where
I have an issue with it when you take a college defensive end in Zach Bond and you move him to an off-ball linebacker.
Yeah, because that's
different... apples and oranges to moving a right tackle or trying out a right tackle at left tackle.
You're essentially learning a whole different playbook going from one level of the defense to the next. It's like, hey, offensive tackle, go learn the passing route tree.
That would be like them moving Fuaga to tight end.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean.
Yeah,
and then but one I think Triplett brought it up. It was that Ramczyk played left tackle in college.
Yeah.
And so that's an example.
Nobody remembers that.
Right. Yeah. There was no issue with that. So I think, like, if the player's good enough, he's good enough.
And that position switch, what Mac's saying, is not that huge.
Yeah, I would be
for super talented guys. It's just not.
Yeah.
I would be more upset if regardless of timing of when they try it out, if they're just like, he's our left tackle, and then they put him at left tackle in meaningful games, or at least in the preseason, and he just gets owned. And then in the meantime, you have like Udo playing right tackle, who's just kind of okay. If they were refusing to even think about moving Fuaga back to right and he's struggling at left, then I'd be upset. Like, just something's not working here, and you're wasting your first round pick, which sounds pretty peaty to me. So,
so they've made reference to the fact that they're going to cross-train all of the offensive linemen this year. And they're basically saying the best 5 step up at some position, and then you're going to be starting. Yeah. And look, even if he plays left tackle this year because he's the best one, doesn't mean he can't play right tackle next year.
Everyone has to realize we're running a completely different scheme now.
Yeah.
So he can hide players. He can put players where he wants an advantage. He can do it's his offense. So I think why would we not be happy with him trying to see what he's got?
Yeah,
all over the place.
Yeah,
you just at least used a lot of capital to get him. Let's see what you got.
Address that because that was similar to, at least on our group text, similar to my reaction to Rattler, and then we thought about it a little bit more, and
we calmed down.
Yeah, look, it's a smart move.
Yeah,
it's rookie fucking minicamp.
Right.
You know what I mean?
The only thing that matters is the quarterback passing percentage. Right. Clearly.
And look, I'd feel a hell of a lot better with Fuaga protecting Carr's blind side and maybe Udo on the right side as opposed to Penning on the left side. And it's just...
And it's really, we could say like...
That's another... We've talked about it a bunch, how much Penning impacted Carr getting beat up early in the season, and no one knows how injured he was for that terrible stretch.
Yeah.
And now we don't even know because we saw him do so well at the end of the season. Was he beat up for a month and a half with those ribs because of
absolutely
Penning?
Was, yeah.
Well, 2 things as a quarterback you don't want to be are injured and scared of your blind side. Carr was probably both for a lot of the year.
Dude, look, you remember our comments after the first couple of weeks of the season. I went on record saying I would be fine if the Saints spent every draft pick on an offensive line.
Before the season.
Yeah. I liked a few people, Ross Jackson included, that had the mocks out there of us picking 7 offensive linemen. It was great. I mean,
look, we picked 2.
They didn't look bad. Those mocks did not look bad, to be honest.
Look, we picked 2, so hopefully, I think Fuaga is going to be fine. He just strikes me as the type. He's going to be a good player, whether it's left or the right side.
Yeah, he
strikes me as kind of a Ramczyk type.
Yeah,
like his level of competition he played was high enough to where I'm not worried about that.
He's an All-American.
Like Penning came from basically a high school.
When you have All-Americans in D1, not these FCS All-Americans. No, there's been some that have done great in the league, but when there is no right tackle in college football better than you, out of every single right tackle in D1, that's a big deal. Same thing with Kool-Aid at cornerback. So yeah, guys like that typically have the skills to translate well, and then the people who know what they're talking about have said on tape he looks great. Does he have some things he needs to work on? Yeah, all rookies do. Mm-hmm. But I mean, the thing they love about him is the thing we need, which is like a killer run blocker, a guy who can get to the second level and just demolish people.
Yeah.
Latu, however you say his name, the UCLA defensive end, not the one we UDFA'd, but he had one of his worst games against Fuaga, which is fantastic for us. So it's like when the competition's gone up, his game's gone up, and that's all you can ask for.
Yeah, and look, another example of players moving. Penei Sewell, who's arguably one of the best offensive tackles in the league. He moved from left tackle to right tackle.
I think it can be done, and it goes back to something we said a lot during the season in our episodes, goes back to coaching. If someone said he's moving from right to left and Doug Marone's going to show him how to do it, I would say, oh, God, here we go again.
First iteration of Doug Marrone or second iteration of Doug Marrone?
the most recent one, because clearly something happened. Not going to get into Doug Marone's personal affairs, but
I think we're all fine though with them trying it out.
And I'm trying to think of any. I don't think anything else significant came out since, but
no, I'm glad you brought that up because I had actually forgotten about that.
Yeah, that was one of the things that it was like, is it a something or is it a nothing? And then
it's a nothing thing right now. It's a smart move.
Yeah,
see what you got.
Again, I'll be more pissed if he sucks with pads on and they refuse to move him.
The offensive line topic is going to hang around for the entire offseason until we see something in the season, and we'll either continue to bitch about it constantly or we'll be surprised.
Yeah. Cam Jordan talked today. He said he's feeling good, feeling great as always. So maybe Cam's.
What though? His tone has kind of changed. I almost feel like they communicated it to him that hey, you're not one of our primary pass rushers anymore. Because he made reference to moving inside on passing downs. He was like, hey,
he should kind of accept that.
He was saying, we got to have it to where it's Chase Young, it's Granderson. They're on the outside. Yeah. I can rush from the inside. I'm like, whoa, this is the first time. It's almost like he's embraced it.
We know
They definitely
from his
communicated it to
13
him,
years as one of our guys that Cam Jordan is nothing but outspoken and ambitious. But he's also smart. So hopefully the smarts
also
kick
making
in.
a lot of money, so he's going to say no problem. But that 4 coming at you on passing downs would be really
That would be fun.
Then if Chase Young pans out, Dennis Allen said he's full. I mean, Dennis Allen said it, so there's your grain of salt. But he's enthusiastic. He's fully bought in. So hopefully he heals up, not on the pace that Nick talked about, and it's faster than that. But
it's a 3-month minimum, I can tell you. They'll never put anybody out there inside 3 months.
But anyway, there's lots to look
I'm
forward.
not believing anything until it's training camp and
Got to see it.
It should not be far into the season, though.
And I don't have the dates off the top of my head, but I think it's June. You have some voluntary OTAs coming up for the whole team. So the next chance we get to see the team on the field, again, doing my favorite drill, throwing against air, will be coming up in a couple weeks here. And so we'll have more to talk about, about that.
Very soon.
Get to see Derek Carr leading the offense again against air.
So let me ask you this.
Commanding.
If Carr goes 10 for 10 this year against air
Super Bowl.
in OTAs.
Boom.
We already went Super Bowl. What's better than Super Bowl, Max?
That means we're winning 2 Super Bowls.
MVP Super Bowl.
That just means dynasty, clearly.
Yeah, I think, unless you guys have anything else, let's go ahead and wrap this one up.
Yeah, no, I think we've hit all the updates. We'll come back at you as soon as we can. It's a tough period. Try to line up some guests, try to get the studio together for some video content.
Yeah, we need to do a few fun episodes.
Yeah, this is the time of year where the genius of the 28 to 3 podcast shines. Something similar to the charcuterie board.
Yeah. The sequel coming soon.
We might do. I'll make another crack at the Saints all-time Saints team bracket with the play-by-play. We won't release the last attempt we did. I still didn't even listen back to that one. This one will be recorded on my own time, and we'll just play it back.
Yeah, don't waste our time with it.
Yeah, that's exactly what it would be. Anyway, so till next time.
Who dat?